Good day and welcome once again, guys. It's Monaco Daniel from Mastermind Trading, and in this video we're going to be talking about a concept that is fast growing among supply and demand traders. It's gaining a lot of popularity, it's gaining a lot of momentum, it's gaining a lot of hits among supply and demand traders. I recently talked about it in a PDF file I released about a week ago about simplified supply and demand trading. Yeah, I talked about it and I've gotten a lot of questions. I've gotten a lot of people asking questions about this concept, about this approach to supply and demand trading. So that's basically what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before I head right into our topic for today, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and leave a comment below. I personally attend to every comment in the comment section. So guys, without taking too much of our time, I'm just going to head right into our topic for today. Now, it is none other than supply and demand flip zones. Yeah, supply and demand flip zones. This is a trend. This is an approach to trading the supply and demand concept that has been gaining a lot of attention. Yeah, so since I've gotten too many questions about flip zones, people asking what flip zones are, how can they trade off flip zones, how to identify flip zones, I've decided to make this video specifically to talk about supply and demand flip zone. So without taking too much of our time, I'm going to head right into what flip zones are. Basically, I would like to put it that supply and demand flip zones are supply or demand levels, supply or demand zones that are located along the break of a significant structure in the market. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Supply and demand flip zones are these supply and demand zones. They are more like your regular supply and demand zones that you are familiar with, except that they are not just located anywhere in your chart. They are located along significant levels in the market, along significant structures in the market once these structures have been invalidated. So I'm going to give a quick illustration of what I mean before I show us some of these flip zones in our price chart. So guys, we all know that a bullish trend is characterized by higher highs and higher lows and higher highs and higher lows, and just like that until we can't find any more of this. Now, one common thing that most traders do when they identify trend is this: you want to plot a trend line along these structures, along your higher lows. Yeah, in a bullish case, most people want to draw their trend line along higher lows in a bullish market and along lower highs in a bearish market. Now, right here we have a lower high, or sorry, a higher low, and then a higher high, and then higher low, and then a higher high. But right here is our trend line. Now, we could find flip zones along basically any significant structure in the market. You could find your flip zone along the break of a trend line or a momentum line. You can find flip zones along the break of significant structures in the market, like your significant lows, significant highs, and all of that. You could find flip zones along support and resistance level in the market. You could find flip zones along basically any structure in the market. Yeah, you could find flip zones where there is a break of any significant structure in the market. So I'm going to mark this as this is the current low in this market. Now, if prices from this point decides to come back down here, and instead of bouncing up like it usually does, this time around it creates a little shift and then goes down to break this structure right here, forming a lower high instead of a higher low like we had in the previous structure. Now what we have right here is a supply zone, and since this supply zone is located right along where we had a break in momentum line, this is a flip zone. Yeah, you could have your flip zone right here, and in some cases you could have flip zones in prices coming down here and then going back up, coming here to form something like this and then coming back down. Yeah, now this is a significant level in the market. This is the structure low for this trend. Before the break of this structure low, you find a supply level along this invalidation, along the invalidation of this low. Then we could say this is our flip zone. So basically flip zones are not different from the supply and demand zones you are familiar with, except that they are located along key levels in the market. Yeah, it could be along any level. Yeah, and they are not just supply and demand zones that are located along key levels. They are supply and demand zones located once a significant level in the market gets invalidated. You find some flip zones there. Not in every case you find flip zones once market gets invalidated, but in the case of you finding a flip zone along an invalidation level, then you want to wait for a retest to this flip zone to get into the trade. Yeah, now I would show us some of this from the price charts. This is the price chart for Bitcoin against the US dollar. Yeah, the daily chart for Bitcoin against the US dollar. Right here we have a bullish trend characterized by higher lows and higher highs and higher lows and higher highs. This is where we had the previous low and then the higher low. Now once again you could draw your trend line along this higher lows like this. Now notice what happened. We had this trend line respected once, respected twice, and then prices came once again to this trend line, but this time around it wasn't respected, it was invalidated. Now if you zoom out this chart a little bit, you are going to find something that is an hidden base right here. Now for those who haven't seen the PDF material I talked about earlier, I did specifically talk about hidden base. Usually as supply and demand traders we are familiar with rally base rally, drop base drop, drop base rally, rally base drop. But there are situations in the market where there is a supply or a demand zone, but it is not usually visible on the current price chart that you are analyzing. If you take this to the 4 hours charts, for example, okay, right here on the 4 hours charts, you are going to find, okay, well, 4 hours chart isn't pulling up here. I don't know why. Okay, we have the 4 hours chart. Now if you come down to the 4 hours chart, you find something that looks like a drop, a base, and then a drop right here. And what happens, we see prices rallying into that and then continuing in the direction of a downtrend. Now I'm going to go back to the daily charts. Let us once again take another look at this chart. Yeah, now this is a bullish structure, and this is the most significant low in this bullish structure before the break of this moment of this trend line right here. So now we got a flip on this structure to the downside, changing this whole trend to a downtrend. And then just before this structure got broken, right here we have a drop base drop supply, another flip zone for this market structure that was broken. And then you can see prices rallying into this daily supply zone and then going down in the direction of the trend. Yeah, so you could find your flip zones along significant levels in the market. It could be a support level, it could be a resistance level, it could be anything. Now let me look for somewhere where we have a support and resistance flip zone. Okay, I think right here we have this level to serve as resistance here. It was resistance here, it was resistance here, and then it got broken. Yeah. Now if you zoom out your charts, once again you are going to find a flip zone right along the break of this resistance level right here. This resistance level has been tested and respected on about 4 different occasions. But right here we have, you can see an hidden supply zone right here, and then prices just drop right into it before continuing in the direction of an uptrend. Yeah, so this is a flip zone, this is a support, and this is a resistance flip zone. I'll possibly look for one other flip zones before we proceed. Okay, if you zoom out these charts, right here we have a rally based rally demand on the daily time frame that was respected on multiple occasions. Yeah, this is a rally based rally demand zone right here. Rally based rally daily demand zone got tested and respected once, twice, 3 times on multiple occasions up until this point. Now right here for the first time, this demand zone got flipped. It got breached by a week. And then what happens next? We see prices, okay, it got breached by a week, and then before we add this break below this daily demand zone, there is a drop base drop supply right here. And then what happens? We see prices rallying into the supply zone before continuing in the direction of a downtrend. Okay, lastly I'm going to look right along this level. Right here we have a daily supply zone, drop base drop, and then we have a resistance level right here. Okay, so I'm just going to, let me mark this out, let's say like this. Yeah, this is a supply zone, yeah, and then a resistance level in the market. Now this supply zone got flipped, got invalidated. We see prices rallying above the supply zone, but just before this rally right here we have a rally based rally demand, and then this is our flip zone. This is our flip zone, prices dropping into it and then going up in the direction of an uptrend. Yeah, so the big question that most people might probably be asking is, how do you trade off supply and demand flip zones? What I'm going to say is supply and demand flip zones are no different from your regular supply and demand zones. You trade off flip zones the same way you trade off your regular supply and demand zone. You buy in demand, you sell in supply, the same thing you do with flip zones. Flip zones only give you extra confluence for your trade. It's as simple as that. It is your regular supply or demand zone, but with an extra confluence. Yeah. Personally, 2 things I like to look out for before trading off any level, be it a flip zone or the regular supply and demand zone in the market, I love to see decent I love to see decent momentum building into my zone, and then I also love to see opposing momentum lines being taken out. That's for me. I love to see these things play out before I get into a trade along any level in the market. Yeah. Like I said earlier, identifying supply and demand flip zones are no different from how you identify your regular supply and demand zones. There are basically four setups when it comes to supply and demand trading, which is your rally based rally, your drop based drop, your rally based drop, and then your drop based rally. Personally, I trade off just two of these zones. I trade off rally based rally and drop based drop. Nothing else. I don't trade rally based drop or drop based rally. I am particularly interested in just rally based rally and drop based drop. Yeah. Now, lastly, I've heard a lot of people say flip zones or swap zones, as some other people call it, works in a way that once supply gets invalidated, it becomes supply, it becomes demand, or once a demand zone gets invalidated, it becomes supply. Personally, I don't buy into that ideology at all. I don't buy into that ideology. One thing we all need to understand is that supply and demand trading is a concept, it's an approach to trading the financial markets that seeks to identify those areas where you have stacks of new buyers coming into the market, or where you have stacks of new sellers coming into the market. Basically, the market moves in the direction of buying and selling pressures. What moves the market is ask and bids. Yeah. So I don't believe that a supply zone will automatically become a demand zone because it was flipped. Nah, I don't share that ideology. I don't believe in that at all. Yeah. Although there are cases where you would find, let's say a supply zone. I'm going to make an illustration with this. Yeah, there are cases where you find a supply zone like this, and then prices rally into the supply zone for the first time, got rejected, rallies back into the supply zone, got rejected, comes even deeper into the supply zone, and then once again gets rejected, and then goes back into the supply zone, and this time around it breaks through. But before it breaks through, let's say you have this small demand pressure, this small demand zone building up right here before the breakout. Now I don't believe that we have a flip zone or a demand zone right here because this supply zone was invalidated. Nah, I don't believe in that. Well, for the record, you are not always going to find stuffs like this in the market. This is basically just for illustration purposes. Now, I don't believe that this became a supply because this became a demand because this supply got invalidated. Now, the thing is this is a very significant level in the market that has been respected on several occasions. So we can all agree that we have a lot of sellers around these levels that are ready to short this market at every given opportunity right here. Now, for prices to be able to break above this stack of sellers right here, then we need even more stacks of buyers coming into the market. So right here is where you find that stacks of buyers coming into the market to push prices even higher. So yes, we got a supply zone that was invalidated. Yes, we have a demand zone, a flip zone along that supply level. Yes, but this is not because the supply was invalidated. This is because we had stacks of buyers coming into the market. Yeah, and lastly, you could find your supplies, your flip zones anywhere along the break of a significant structure. It could be directly along the break of a significant structure like we have in this case. It could be below, let's say somewhere around this level. It could even be right above the break of a significant structure. Yeah, but flip zones are those zones you find along the break of a structure, of a significant structure in the market. Yeah, it could be anywhere along that structure. Yeah, so guys, that is it. Thanks for watching till the end. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as leave a comment below. Yeah, and like I stated earlier, I'll be leaving a link to download the PDF in the description box below. Do have a very lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.